the iPhone 15 Pro Max, S23 Ultra and the Pixel 8 Pro. Low light photography, subject right here, Milky Way above it. Let's get into it. Today we're in one of my neighbour's farms. We get to use this old International tractor. We've set it up this afternoon, checking out with photo pills, and it's set up pretty well. The moon is just about to go down. The galactic core is chasing it pretty fast, so we've got to get this done pretty quickly. Once old mate over here goes, we'll always like, that's a milk taker picking up the milk from the dairy farm. We'll be able to get this going. So we're taking photos of all three of these phones. I'll show you how to do it because they're all different. I'll show you how to light paint the subject that we've got here, and we'll also do some editing on these photos at the end. The way I'm going to do this is a longer video than what we normally would do. I'm actually going to split it into three, so I'll do a full tutorial for each one of these phones of how I'm taking the photo. So if you don't want to watch, if say for example you have an iPhone, you don't want to watch the Pixel phone, just jump forward in the chapters that are down below there. But if you want to see all of them and see how to do all of these phones, use all these phones in taking this sort of photo, just watch the whole lot. The subject that we've got here is a pretty old tractor, and I've got to tell you, using this sort of a subject for this sort of a photo is really next level. We get to do some pretty cool light painting techniques. Each one of these phones does it differently. So finding something like this to be able to shine different lights and different shadows, it's gonna be pretty bloody cool. We're gonna try the iPhone 15 Pro Max first. The reason I'm doing this one first because I know with a foreground subject and the galactic core behind it, this phone's gonna do it really well. We're going to do a different light painting technique for this one. We're going to use a strobe light, a speed light from my old Sony camera. It's just a regular flash, if you like. And we're going to hit it from a different angle. I'll explain that when we get there. So we're just going to put this phone on a tripod here. I'm using the old Explorer photo video tripod. It's my favourite tripod. I use this all the time now. And what we're going to do, I've got a light still on the tractor, but you can see how I'm just setting it up in the frame here. So I want that front wheel there to be just down, not quite touching the bottom of the frame, but getting close to it. But I also want the tractor to be in the whole frame, to take up the majority of the frame, to put it in the center. And I know that's breaking some of the rules of composition, but I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest. I like the framing of that just there. So what I'll do, I'll go and get that light, we'll turn it off, and we'll take a photo without any light painting at all first. And we'll do this with every one of these tests. So I'll turn this video light off now. I'll turn my car off because all the lights on my car are on. There we go. That's a bit better. So the first photo here, we're going to hit the arrow up the top of the screen there. Look for the night mode button, which is that one there. Scroll all the way to the top. 10 seconds, 30 seconds. It's going to give you 30 seconds because it's on a tripod. Now we don't need to do anything else at all. Absolutely nothing. Don't touch for focus, don't touch for exposure, don't touch it at all. Just let it take a photo. All right, that's done. Let's have a bo peep. All right, so what we're looking at here is the sky. And the stars look reasonably sharp. The Milky Way, the galactic core is not quite there. The moon is setting down there below the tractor. So we're going to do it again. Put him back on the tripod. Same position. I didn't really care before that it wasn't level. It really didn't bother me at all. But what I'm going to use this time is a speed light here. This is a Godox V1S. And I use this one here because it's adjustable in the pressure or the power that it puts out. And when I light paint this, what I do, looks like the tank has left. What I do when I light paint this, say you're the subject right there and I'm photographing, my tripod's sitting here. I'm going to fire the camera, then go around this way and fire the light that way, and then fire the light that way. Don't ever come directly on because it doesn't give good dimension. All right. Let's turn this light off again. You might be able to see what I do here. Hopefully, if you can't, my explanation should have just covered it for you. Let me just turn this light off. Not doing anything else besides touching the shutter button. I'm going to duck over this side. Hit the strobe. There's one. Now I'm going to go onto the other side. There's two. And that's it. Not doing any more than that. As you start doing your light painting, you might find it doesn't quite go as light or it doesn't go quite as dark, and then you adjust the power of this light accordingly. The photo is done. This is looking promising. I think the amount of light on that. Now the other phones are going to have the galactic core sitting there, and it may not seem fair, but look, I'll wait around to the end here so you don't have to, and I'll take another photo when the galactic core is a little bit lower, closer to the tractor, using exactly the same techniques as I've just done here, and this is what it looks like. Now when it comes to the overall image of that, I think it looks pretty damn good, especially for an iPhone. This is the best iPhone going ever for doing this sort of thing. What I do want to test though is the ultra wide lens, because I know on the Pixel it can do it and do it really well. And for this sort of a photo, for an ultra wide lens, it'll be epic. So I'm just going to take a photo like that, doing exactly the same thing that I've done here just now. And this is what it looks like. All right, there you have it. There's the iPhone 15 Pro Max night mode, 30 seconds, wide lens, looks amazing. The foreground looks sensational, and it does the galactic core pretty well too. Ultra wide lens, no good at all. Let's try the next phone. What are we going to try next? Let's go to the Pixel 8 Pro. And with the Pixel 8 Pro, of course, I've got to do some changes here, because the Pixel 8 Pro doesn't have MagSafe. This one here is the MX Mag. It's the MagSafe holder that I've got from Explorer Photo Video. There you go, right there. This is an awesome phone holder for iPhones with MagSafe. They also make this one here. All the links for this is down in the description down below. I'll just get rid of, I've got pockets, I can put it in my pocket. Let's get the Pixel 8 out. Where did I put it? It's funny, you know, I'm using this at the moment as my daily phone. More on that in another video. From an iPhone person to a Pixel person. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's get this on the tripod and take a photo. So the Pixel is no different, the setup, to what the iPhone was. We're going to go here to night sight. I'm going to shine this torch out there onto the front of the tractor, and I'm way zoomed in. That's why it's not working. There we go. That looks a lot better. And look, the composition is exactly the same. We're testing here to see how it does the foreground and how it does the stars. So I'll turn this off. We'll turn this off and we'll take a photo. And now, of course, with the Pixel, we're waiting for 4 minutes. So we've put it on the tripod, we've got it all exposed, I've got all the composition right. Go to night sight, wait for night sight. The shutter button will turn from a moon to the stars. Hit the button, 4 minutes, off it goes. While that's taking it, it's not actually taking a 4 minute long photo, and it does this for the wide and the ultra wide lens on this phone. I believe it'll even do it on the 5x zoom, but we'll cover all that sort of stuff in a separate video. But it's taking 4 minutes and 6 seconds or something like that long photo, and it's taking a series of 16-second long photos. And what happens if you're new to astrophotography, the stars are moving through the sky, or the Earth's spinning, the stars are sitting there, and the longer the shutter stays open, the more of a line will appear behind the stars. They're referred to as star trails. What this phone does, and that's something that you want to avoid, what this phone does is it takes those 16-second photos and it stacks them on top of each other. So it makes the stars so much brighter, it makes less digital noise because we're shooting at a high ISO, and because it stacks and aligns them, we don't have the star trails. The ultra wide photo is just about finished. I'll go and get it. Well, that's just bloody ridiculous. Have a go at that. Bloody crazy. This is absolutely par for the course when you're doing astrophotography. You think you've got everything lined up really well, and it's not necessarily the case. So the important thing here is to fix it as you're going. Where the galactic core was above the tractor then, I thought this is going to look a little bit better if I come around to the front just a little bit. And I've done that, so I'm reshooting it now, and this is what it looks like. I'll also shoot the iPhone again. One other thing about shooting the Pixel, because it's taking 4 minute photos, I mean, I've moved it a couple of times, like I've taken like 4 or 5 photos here, and I've been here for like 20, 25 minutes. So it takes a long time, and it can be very tempting to just shut it off, because it keeps on saying a little message there saying keep going or hold still for better exposure or capture more stars or something like that. Don't be tempted. Let it run its course. Let it do all of its whole 4 minutes. Yeah, sensational. It did exactly what I thought it would do. I probably could have composed it a little bit better, but I am running out of light right now. I'll throw the S23 on here now and we'll see how it goes. Now, one of the things with the S23 Ultra, of course, is it has this Expert RAW. And in Expert RAW, it has an astrophotography mode. And it's bloody horrible. In the camera app now, we go to Pro. So outside of the Pro, you've got the photo bit there, go to More, then go Pro. Now in Pro, we want to set these parameters. ISO 800, speed 300, and focus, we're going to try on the center now for this one. Now I'll just hit the shutter button and we'll see what happens here. First photo is not too bad. The thing with this phone and using it manually, you've got to change a lot and experiment a little bit. Once you've got the main settings nailed down on this phone, just remember them and go from there. Everyone's phone's going to be a little bit different, I think. I especially found this with the S21 Ultra with the different processors around the world. So go by the settings that I've shown you so far and just adjust them accordingly. I don't know what it is with this phone. They seem to have like nerfed it, as someone said to me on a comment the other day. It used to be incredibly good at doing this, and it still can be. The Expert RAW Astro mode is just bloody terrible now. They did a software update and it's just horrid. So what we're doing here now is the old school way of doing things. So we're treating this more like a DSLR with the settings that we have. And once we've got the focus set perfectly, because it doesn't really show you there on the dial, it's got like 10 down, 9 down, and it gives you nothing between the 9 and the 8, but it changes somewhere in between them. You know, it's a little bit confusing, but we'll get good results out of this. All right, that results, yeah, it's a paddock that the cows were in. You guess what I just stood in. So look, the stars are nice and sharp there. Well, that's it for the S23 Ultra. Some pretty good photos in that one too. I ended up shooting the ultra wide, but what I did, because it has a lower aperture, I shot the ISO up another stop. So I shot that one at 1600. I expect a fair bit of noise in that photo once we get that onto the computer. Now that's all three phones now done and dusted. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Pixel 8 Pro, and the S23 Ultra. All of them had different sort of techniques. Just to recap on this, the iPhone just going to night mode, 30 seconds, hit it with a strobe from those different angles. Bob's your uncle, works really well. Then the Pixel 8 Pro, the light painting technique, I don't know if I explained this very well, that's a constant light for a lot of it. So I use a video light on a really low setting and it stays on for the whole time, because you might hit it with a strobe in one of those 16 seconds and the later ones just cancel it out. So be mindful of that when you're light painting with that particular phone. And the S23 Ultra, use that not in the way it was designed to do with the Astro mode. Like I said, I've harped on about it enough, but I've just used the Pro mode, Pro mode in the camera, shot for 30 seconds, ISO 800, and did the strobe effect with the light painting. I also did the ultra wide on that phone and it worked out pretty well too. I think, just from what I've seen on the back of the phones, the Pixel's probably going to get this because it is what it's known to do. But we'll talk about the pros and the cons of each one of these, because they all have stronger pros than each other and stronger cons than each other too. All right, we've got two photos from every camera here. We might as well start with, what shall we start with? We'll go with this one here first. This one here is the Google Pixel, looking at the metadata there. That's a 16-second photo. So the metadata shows 16 seconds, but there's a series of 16 seconds and they're put on top of each other. We'll have a look at the stars first here. The stars look pretty damn good. You must admit, that's what they're known for. The foreground looks not too bad either. Have a look at, I think this is the other Pixel one. It is the other Pixel one. So this one, the first one here is the ultra wide lens, and you can see the galactic core there. There's a little bit of artifacting in the sky, but we'll go to the regular lens, the wide lens, and you can see here I didn't compose it very well, but the tractor looks mint. the stars look mint. That there, I'd be very happy with. The only thing I'm not happy with that is that the wheel comes out of the frame, and that was my stuff up. You may recall me saying about, I was there for probably at this stage now, I would have been there for about 40 minutes just doing pixel photos. And you can see the stars moving down through the sky as we go through the night. So it took a while just for the pixel because it takes so long. Editing of this photo really isn't that big of a deal. It's almost ready to go straight out of the camera. We can do some things though. With all phones, there's generally a little bit of haze, so we can use the dehazer slider here, and what we're using here is Adobe Lightroom in case you didn't work that out. And every time I make an adjustment, I'm watching the sky. I'm watching the galactic core in particular. So if I bring that back to where it was, and then we'll start it again, just watch that core. See all that definition? We go too far and we end up pretty bad like this. So bring it back, everything with editing, a little bit at a time. That's not too bad there. If I look at the difference between the stars and the subject, I'm quite happy with how that looks. It's a nice even amount of light. This was a solid light the whole way through. There's really not much else I want to do to that photo. Really not much else at all. Let's go and have a look at, say, the iPhone photos. So this one here is the iPhone. Again, it wasn't composed properly because I had it sitting there where the pixel was, because I've cut off the front wheel there. But looking at the stars, it doesn't look too bad. It's very typical of what the iPhone looks like. There's a bit of, what would you call them, artifacts in the sky. There's some shooting star there, obviously. But that's pretty typical of what the iPhone would look like. Again, dehazing on this sucker. Bring that dehazing up. Look at what happens to the sky. That looks pretty good to me. It's gone a little bit too warm, so I'll bring that slider down. It almost looks like there's a bit of cloud there, but there was no cloud there. This is just an iPhone thing. The foreground looks great. I'd say, and I haven't said this before, I think the Pixel looks better in the foreground than what the iPhone does. Have a look at that iPhone again. That's a very good focusing on the tractor, but I really do think the Pixel looks better. What do you guys think? Anyway, let's go and have a look at the Samsung. Oh, well, firstly, the wide angle, I think it was, of the iPhone. Was that this one? That is an iPhone photo. And that's also an iPhone photo. I didn't transfer across the wide angle one because between you and I, it just sucks. It wasn't very good. Let's go and have a look at the Pixel, or the S23 Ultra photos. Now, you remember I started with the center focusing, and that works reasonably well. And this wasn't it. This one here is focused at 9.0. There's always a little bit of a difference, I find. When I first got this phone, I think I was focusing, or maybe the S22, I was focusing around infinity, and then it had to come back. So it changes, I think it changes often enough with the software updates that you do. But you've got to admit, that looks pretty damn good. I would say the stars on this photo look better than the iPhone. The subject in this situation here looks probably as good as the iPhone. The iPhone looks a bit more artificial. If you look at that, there's a lot more, I'll just reset that so it's straight out of the camera. There's a bit more AI sort of processing, I guess, in this photo compared to what the S23 Ultra did, and that will add it up really, really well. What I did notice is that, do you remember when I went from the regular wide camera to the ultra wide camera on the Samsung Galaxy, and I just increased the ISO a bit, and that in my head was going to work fine. What I didn't know is that the focus point was going to be different, and I didn't check the damn thing while I was out there. So there's definitely potential with this camera, because you can see the galactic core there, but it's just not sharp and accurate. That's my fault, bloody idiot. That I'm really happy with. You may remember a video I did with the 15 Pro Max and the S23 Ultra, and I used the Expert RAW. The photos were just shithouse. They were just no good. This is much better than doing it this way. And a few of you guys said, just use the Pro mode. And I kind of struggle with that, because I look at this and go, the propeller heads at Samsung made this Astro mode in Expert RAW. The damn thing should just work. And it just doesn't. It used to work really well, but now it just doesn't. But This is the old way we used to do it, and it's the old and true and proven way that it works. So we'll keep it with that. Every time I go out and take photos of the night sky with a phone, I'm always impressed by what it does, always impressed. And then last night I did something unusual. I took my Sony camera out with me and I took a photo with it as well. And this is one of them, and this is the other one. This one here is lit up a bit too much, but this one here, I've edited it a bit too much, I would say. I'll bring the sky back a little bit, but what I want you to look at with this photo here is that the lighting in this, I think, is perfect. The foreground is not overpowering the sky, and the sky is not overpowering the foreground. If I go and have a look at, say, the iPhone photo here, that's all just way too bright in my opinion. We go and look at the Pixel, that is even. The sky and the foreground looks good. It looks nice and even. And if you go back and have a look at that Sony photo there that I showed you, that looks pretty even. I'll be very happy to get that sort of color balance and light balance out of the two photos. Let me know what you guys think. I don't think this is a case of this one is better than this one. What I mean by that is that every phone does this differently. The Samsung, I think, is going to punch out some incredibly good photos. You need to find the sweet spot for your phone and the camera on your phone to get the good results. And sure, you can spend more time capturing multiple photos, stacking them, and editing them on a computer. But and I've done that, and that tends to take away the ease in which I believe a phone should have the process of with photography. The iPhone is probably the easiest phone and the quickest way to take a photo like this. The results of the foreground, I think, are better again than maybe the Samsung. But if you had the time and you had the knowledge and they had, the facilities to do it, you could certainly take photos of the sky, stack those, then take a separate photo of the foreground, much lower ISO, focusing on the subject and light painting that multiple ways, then layering them all in Photoshop, and it would come out pretty damn good. In fact, I might even do a video about that if you want me to. Just let me know in the comments if you'd like to see how to do that. But I really think the Pixel has it. I really do. When I look at that photo of the tractor in the foreground, the wide lens, not the ultra wide, the wide lens, the sky is bloody perfect, and I can't see any artifacting on that photo. I think it looks pretty damn good. So I'm looking forward to this camera with Astro. I think it's probably the best Pixel so far. Let me know what you guys think. Which one do you think is better? Keep in mind everything that you've got to do to get these photos. Is the app good? Is the duration good? Is the end result good? Because at the end of the day, that's really what should matter the most. But for all of us here, we live in a time where these companies are putting out some damn good phones to do this sort of photography. And if you're into this sort of photography, you've got to be pretty happy at the moment. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Catch you later.